Hi, Michelle from Straw-Bearie, and today we're going to make these simple, cute little dolls that you can make to give to a little kid or to donate. I'm going to be making mine for my Operation Christmas Child shoeboxes. You are going to need 2 pieces of fabric. One, a solid or a close to a solid. So this yellow, I don't know if you can tell, but it's really not a solid, but it's very close to a solid, so it'll read like a solid. And then you need a print. So this will be the head and the face, and this will be the dress. The size of mine has been around 2 to 3 inches wide by about 6 to 8 inches long. But they're all a little different because I don't like to waste fabric. So what I have done is I've just kind of looked at my fabric and kind of figured out how many can I get out of this scrap piece of fabric that I already have. And so like if I go this way, I would get 4 really big heads. Or let's see, could I do 3? Okay, I think I can get 3 heads if I go across the width. So I want my heads to be probably about 2.5 inches long. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this at 3. And when I say cut, what I usually do is I make a little slit at 3 inches and rip it. Quickest and easiest way, and since I'm going to be using a serger, it's going to clean finish that edge anyway. But even if you're sewing this on a sewing machine, this will be on the inside, so it should be fine. Should be fine. Okay, so now, since I think I can get 3 bodies, actually, no. I'm going to make 3 dolls, but I'm going to do it all at one time. So now I'm going to need 3 bodies, and I have this piece of fabric, and I'm just kind of looking at it, and I think to about there would look good. That's about 6 inches. So about 6.5 inches, I'm gonna cut my little slit, and I'm gonna tear, and now I'm going to attach these 2 together. So right side facing right side. They're not exactly the same length, but that's okay. I'll fix that a little bit later. And like I said, I'm gonna do this on my serger, but you could definitely do this on your sewing machine. I have the 2 pieces of fabric next to each other. I'm gonna put this in my serger. And now the 2 pieces are attached. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this to my iron, and I'm going to press this down. Decided to bring my little iron over here so I didn't have to move my camera, and just get that. Problem with my little iron, the plug falls out all the time. Just pressing that seam down, I'm going to just serge this top edge of the fabric so that it doesn't fray. Since I want to get 3 dolls out of this, I'm going to figure out 3 evenly. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the extra of my printed fabric here. And I'm going to divide this into 3 equal pieces just by folding over and seeing instead of by measuring, because I think this is easier than measuring. Okay, so I've got 3 equal pieces, so I'm going to cut this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it in towards itself. and I'm going to sew across here. And this is the one that got cut just a little lumpy. Just gotta fudge it a little. And I like doing this assembly line style because that way I'm able to make a whole bunch at once. So now I'm gonna take my next one and I'm gonna just throw it in and do the same thing with it. Now I have this little chain and I can just snip these apart. And I'm gonna take it back to my iron, and I want this seam to be on the back of the doll. So I'm going to kind of open it up on both ends, like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna iron that like that. Iron it flat. Of course, I will do that with all three of them. Open it up. And it depends on the fabric. Earlier, with the ones that I showed at the very beginning of the video, if I keep that intro, with some other ones that I did, I was able to get even more than 3. And so it just depends on how much fabric I have, how many dolls that I'm making. Like I said, 0 waste is my goal. With these, as I'm sewing them, and I'm using up my scraps, I'm going to take them and I'm going to sew across the bottom with that long seam there in the middle of the back. Now they're like little pillowcases, you could say. And I'm going to turn them right side out at this point. So just flip them across. You might have been wondering why I have a drumstick here. So my mom taught me to use a drumstick when turning things, and I thought that was a big sewing tool. And just recently I found out that no, that was a thing because one of my siblings happened to have a drumstick when she needed to turn something, and she realized that it worked well, and so she just kept using it after that. And so I have a drumstick too because I learned from my mom. But see how easy that makes it to turn this? The next step is doing the face. And so what I've done for the face is I have some pieces of cardboard, and I have a bigger one because I made some that were a little bit bigger, and I have this smaller one, and I'm gonna stick it inside so that my marker does not bleed through. I'm going to take my black Sharpie and I'm going to draw a curved line towards the bottom. And I'm going to attach 2 curved lines to each end. I'm going to do an opposite curve above. Then for the eyes, it's a line both directions and then an oval. And the only thing here is you want your oval to be about the same size for the other eye. Now, I'm going to add some eyebrows. Again, a curved line. Make that a little bit more. 3 eyelashes. And then another eyelash down here at the bottom. And then I've been taking a different color and doing a line in the middle of the eye. And there you have it, a little face. Now that the faces are on, it is time to stuff them. And I am just actually using some stuffing from a pillow that I no longer want. The stuffing has kind of matted down some, so you want to break it apart and then put it into your little doll so that it's not clumpy. And just keep breaking apart your stuffing or your batting and putting it in your little doll. You just kind of push it down with your fingers into the bottom, and then you can add some more at some point. And I think on my other batch, I did this before I turned it right side out. You want to take the top edge and you want to fold it under just by like 1/4 of an inch, and you want to iron it. That way we'll be able to have a nice cleaned seam when we sew the top of the head. And my last batch, I did this before turning them right side out, and that seemed to work really well. But it's okay that I kind of forgot that step. I can still do it right now. Now that my little dolls are stuffed, it's time for the hair. So I just have some yarn out here. I've also on some of them used like some rickrack. So I'm just gonna find some yarn that I think would go well. I think one of these guys needs some orange hair. And I'm gonna take this yarn and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. And depending on the size of the doll, the bigger ones I did about 50 times, and I'm not counting. And the smaller ones I did more about like 25 times, and that seemed to be just about right. And I don't know how many times because I was talking, but we're gonna say that's good. And I'm gonna cut that. And then I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna stuff it here inside the doll's head, okay, like that. You go ahead and, hey, trying to film here. Have you seen this eyelash yarn? It is just so fun and it makes great hair. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna wrap this around my head, and since this yarn is all tangled up, I'm just gonna go until I can't pull it anymore. And we'll call it good. That's my way of measuring. So now I've moved over to my sewing machine. And so, as I said, I'm taking this loop of yarn and I'm going to stick it in the head of the doll and just kind of stuff it in there about 1/4 of the way. And then I'm going to put this in my sewing machine and sew it as close to the edge as I can. And it's a little difficult because it's so thick. And don't forget to backstitch. So. And again, I'm going to do that with all of them. I find that doing this assembly line style just works out a little bit better and makes it work a little bit faster. Now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to put it inside the loops of yarn and you're going to cut. And then you're going to look for any places that you didn't cut if you missed any. Did I actually get all of them? Wow. And you can have crazy hair like this, or you can decide, oh, needs a haircut a little bit, and make the hair a little bit more even. Oh, there's a loop. Oh, now I have one crazy hair, a little bit of a haircut, and you're done. And now it's time for the next one. I kind of like the crazy hair look. And then this one with the eyelash yarn, you're just going to do the exact same thing. So you're going to find where the loops are and cut those loops. And there you go. Isn't he cute? Or she? Little doll. Simple little doll, and easy to make a whole bunch of them at one time. So I've been filming, so I've had to stop a couple times, just my camera, and it has been 45 minutes. And I even like stopped and took a phone call or two, and I have made 3 little dolls for Operation Christmas Child. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Okay, I have all the other ones that I made so far right here. And just wanted to show you, like this one I made with rickrack, and just kind of did the same thing, but it only has like 6 hairs out of the middle of its head. And this one I made with this really thick yarn that's actually kind of netted, and Gives it just a kind of a different look. Here's one that I took the front hairs and I made them shorter so it could kind of be like bangs, and the longer hairs in the back. And I wanted to show you this one. So this was actually fringe that I sewed on. I had a roll of fringe that I've had forever, so I sewed on the fringe. I had about 3 stripes across and just sewed that fringe on, so that's a little short haircut, and it's really super soft. This one I used 2 colors of yarn, and this is one of my little bit bigger ones. And like I said, I'm not measuring really when I'm making these. I'm just seeing how much fabric I have and trying not to waste very much fabric when I make them, and so that determines their sizes. These are the little simple easy dolls that I'm making for Operation Christmas Child, and I hope that you will try to make some too to donate and have fun doing it. If you do, tag me on social media and I'd love to see them. I'm on Instagram and Facebook as well as here on YouTube. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, toodles!